How good or bad was the Batman? Hey, what's up guys, I'm Mark Yoon, and today I bring another hopefully exciting video. So this is another one of my movie reviews that all about 3 of you guys watch, but I do it for you 3, so thank you. Today we're going to be talking about the Batman starring Robert Pattinson himself and Zoe Kravitz. This one is going to be a little weird for me because I had a bunch of trepidation going into this in the first place. Because as much as I love the Caped Crusader, the Dark Knight, we've won a few rounds with him in cinematic silver screen as it is. We've seen a lot of Batman, almost to the point of being tiresome. Especially if you've been watching all of the movies since like the Tim Burton ones. There's been a lot. As much as I like the character, I wanted to go with this with a fresh start. So I put on my my Batarang suited pants and I went to the... Actually, I didn't do that at all. I just went to the theater. Let's see. First things first, what I liked. This is going to be a spoiler-free section, and then about halfway in, I will go into a spoiler section, and I'll give you more details on stuff. So overall, what I liked about the movie, I like the dark and gritty tone. I do like how serious it took itself. This does set it apart with the modern day like Marvel Cinematic Universe, so it's not that, which is good. I like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's nice for DC to do its own grounded thing, and that's exactly what they did. We together, along with a young Bruce Wayne, who has now not been many years since he's been the Batman. It's not exactly given to us directly, but he's still a young Batling in its prime, trying to figure stuff out and hone those detective skills, along with, obviously, Catwoman Selina Kyle. And they are together trying to take down the mysterious Riddler. I actually really did enjoy a lot of this. It was 3 hours long, which was almost a slog at times, though, to be honest. There were some parts that could have been edited down, a lot of scenes that drug on, and there was a lot of dramatic effect things. For example, Batman exiting, entering into the scene actually from the shadows, but we've seen that in this movie alone multiple times. So kind of at that point, once you hear the footsteps, all right, cool, cut the shot. Let's just let him talk. So Batman is trying to still figure things out. He thinks that he's mastered fear and all that stuff, so we get to see him with a little bit of confidence before he's been broken down into the Batman that we know today, the one that is seniored and has like all of the wisdom in the world from all his past years as Batman, the Justice League alum Batman, but this is a young Batman. So I gave it a lot of concessions as to characters and things of that nature. I actually really liked Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I think she did a really good job. At times, it felt like their kinship or romance was kind of forced at points. Obviously, like, we all know Bat and the Cat, and like Bruce and Selina go hand in hand like ketchup and mustard, but at times, it's just like, why are they kissing? Like, why is he attracted to her? Why is she attracted to him? It was just some points with that where I was just like, okay, like, I could have seen, like, one thing at the end, but, like, the way that they handled it at first was kind of abrupt. I would like to see more of a lead up to that instead of, like, so many, like, 5-minute scenes of Bruce just, like, looking in a window or walking out of a shadow. It is nice to see an unrefined Bruce trying to stumble his way through detective work and getting things wrong sometimes. You feel like you're going on this adventure with him, and you're not just witnessing it from afar, if that makes any sense. Colin Farrell did a great job as the Penguin. He actually did a really, really good job. I'm actually surprised and a little shocked at how good of a job he did. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Colin Farrell as an actor, but usually in movies, he's one of those actors that plays a variation of himself. So the fact that he went so gung-ho with this one with all the makeup and stuff really sold me a lot. In the spoiler section, I will go into more details, but I'm just giving you overall for the spoiler-free. So if you want to know my overall opinion, I actually really liked it. It did drag on at times. I was waiting for like a big payoff scene. Things were kind of left unended at the end with like a glimmer of hope, but for all intents and purposes, the movie did what it did. It established the characters, it established the relationships, it established this new universe, and going forward from this point on, we'll see what goes on. Now, I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that I would see this movie again. I would buy it on Blu-ray. but I would probably give this movie a 7.5 out of 10, maybe teetering on 8. Just because of the pacing and some issues that I had with it, like watching it. Whenever you're watching a movie, it should never feel like a slog. And I've seen other reviewers that I actually respect, like Comics Explain, like Rob, say that those 3 hours go by fast. Not when you gotta pee, dude. Like, there's some times where I'm just like, okay, just get to the next scene, please. I really felt immersed in a lot of the ambiance and the world building that they did. Seeing what he had to go up against and seeing what he had at his disposal to go up against that. This isn't like, you know, like I said, the Justice League Batman, or the one that's got like Nightwing and Robin helping him out and all the other spare kids that he picks up off the street. But what I will say, and what I will harken back to a lot, is that the emotion of this movie was nailed. There's a lot of, obviously, changes for this universe outside of the comics. It is based on certain storylines in the comic, but overall I enjoyed it and I would suggest going to go see it. Now this is going to conclude like the spoiler-free section, so if you watch this and you haven't watched the movie yet, it's time to click off and go check out some of my other Soul Calibur content or fighting game content until then, or you can watch my other movie reviews that should be in a playlist like Venom and such. But I'm going to get to the spoilers for those who have watched it. So we're going to get to that in 3, 2, 1. Biggest point of contention that I have with this movie, and that a lot of people are going to argue with me ad nauseum because I've heard so many raving things. I didn't like the Riddler in this. I don't want him to be zany and crazy and fun like he was like Jim Carrey style, because he fit that universe and not this one. This is a darker, grittier universe and it needs a darker, grittier Riddler. However, what didn't come through to me was the intelligence that the Riddler usually exudes. This was more of a playing it by ear kind of Riddler. The riddles weren't like hard to solve at all. Like, even if you don't have to be Batman, the world's greatest detective, to solve them, I'm pretty sure any like 6th grader who's in elementary school right now could have nailed every single one of the things he was talking about right away. The Riddler actually is doing this plan because he feels some kind of kinship with Batman, some kind of like justice against the society that failed them and the Gotham City that lied and made promises to them. You think the whole time that he actually knows who Bruce is, but he doesn't. He just has a vendetta against the Waynes, and he wanted to murk Bruce and he could not get it done. Even Batman thinks the entire time that he knows who he is. It's hinted like the entire time. But it turns out the Riddler's nowhere near as smart as like we give him credit for. He's kind of an insane, like, bumbling nerd, I guess. Like, I want to say he's somewhere in between, I want to say, the Joker and like Scarecrow. He's not very Riddler-like. Like, nothing about him screams Riddler except for he's given Batman a couple cards with like some riddles on it and like a key code. Again, this fits this younger version of Bruce, learning his detective skills, honing his detective skills. Maybe later on Riddler learns how to actually become the Riddler and not just whoever this version of the character was. But I had the same problems with Heath Ledger's Joker. I felt like it's just that variation of the character and not really the character as I see the character personally. And it's something that I've had to come to terms with some of those things. I liked him for the story, for what he did, and the fact that like he took on this like kind of weird online persona where like there was a lot of allegory towards stuff. Like, it seemed like he had a bunch of these like crazy guys following him, and there's like alliterations towards like the alt-right and stuff like that. And they're gonna do all this terrorism for what? And from their eyes, it's vengeance and to take back the city that like betrayed them and all that. But Batman actually has a juxtaposition with himself because that's what he was. He wanted to embody vengeance, but then like seeing what true vengeance is reminded him that he's here for justice, not for vengeance. So we get to see Batman starting to actually become Batman. So it is an origin, of course, in parts. Thank goodness they didn't like have a Thomas and Martha scene. I've seen that scene so many times that I just don't care when I see it anymore. I kind of just roll my eyes. But the way they did it in the new origin, or the new way they rolled that out, that's been delved into the comics and some of the different animated series and stuff like that, the way they went into it more actually was a better alliteration than just like shoving the scene over again. Now, you don't know why Bruce went to bats here. They don't like go into all that like Batman Begins does in the Nolan verse. Like they pretty much like leave it up to your imagination that he's been Batman for a couple years, so that stuff's already happened. You don't need to know that. We've seen it a million times, which I appreciate. The costume looks awesome. Catwoman could have been done, her costume could have been done a little bit better. I loved Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I thought she was awesome. The weird like cutout beanie that she wears for a mask like kept throwing me off the whole time. Like I wish they just gave her a mask. It looked goofy, like especially because the rest of her outfit is so like spy and sleek like femme fatale, and then they just give her this like beanie with like it's like a ski mask with like the mouth part cut off pretty much. I would have actually even liked it a lot better if they actually connected between the lines and not just had it like open like that, because she might as well not even be wearing a mask. Like I have no idea how like Carmine Falcone or any of them have not even known who it was this entire time. It's just like out there for everyone to see. It's not very much of a mask. All it's covering pretty much is her hair and her nose. But I like her character, and the fact that she is the daughter of Carmine Falcone in this, and not like, you know, a different backstory. This is kind of like mixing the backstory of like her and maybe Huntress from the Birds of Prey. And I like the tone that they went. I did like when Bruce felt a connection with her and that Batman and Catwoman were getting closer together in their goals, and it was their goals that were bringing them together. Maybe you should have had a lot more of a problem with the Bruce aspect if it came out now with it. Of course, everyone's trying to figure out who he is. That's what goes par for the course with this. But you really felt his pain. He's not Bruce Wayne yet. Like, this is more of a Bruce Wayne origin than it is a Batman origin. You just see like this disheveled, saddened, like angry guy whenever he's Bruce Wayne, completely ignoring the Foundation and the company, completely ignoring his responsibilities as like the head of Wayne Foundation. He just isn't Bruce Wayne yet. He doesn't care about meetings with shareholders or like accountants or anything like that, much to Alfred's chagrin, who was great in this, by the way. It's more of the Alfred that you can tell was like definitely a badass back in the day. There's just a lot to this. Now, something else that I want to talk about is the stakes. If you've seen the movie, at the end, there's like this giant flood because they set off like Riddler sets off like 7 bombs, and he's got like a bunch of dudes dressed up as him trying to like murk a bunch of people that are like together held up in this stadium as on election night when the new mayor is elected. You don't really see much of the devastation. It's more, and that's probably why like Riddler was mad, because like he wanted everything to go his way, and at the end Joker like consoles him that like, hey, you got a new friend in me. So I understand like where they were going for with that, but it didn't feel like he had a plan at all. It didn't feel like Riddler was doing anything. It felt like it was more based on like, hey, we just want like the city to become in chaos so that like we can take it over and we'll show them kind of thing. Like the city needs to be brought to its knees and raised to its knees so that it can be brought back up as something different. And he thought Batman was his ally until like Batman freaked out on him and called him pathetic. But yeah, like there was no overarching like, it's weird, it's hard to say. Like I know they shrouded it kind of until the end to be like, hey, you were supposed to catch this, but I'm surprised you didn't, type of thing to Batman. But in the other Batman movies and other superhero movies in general, there's always this like overarching dread of like, as the audience, we know what's going to happen, what needs to happen, so we're hoping the hero figures it out. We were as just in the dark as Bruce was. Like, it didn't even seem like the goal would accomplish anything. And we don't even really get much of a resolution for it. We see like the city coming together, bridling with hope, as Batman's like shooting himself up with adrenaline, literally, just so he can like save Selina and try to like get people from the crushed scaffolding in the stadium, including the new mayor who was shot. But it's just like, okay, like now what? So in the next movie, is Gotham still gonna be underwater, or is it gonna be like, I don't know, is Aquaman gonna come help and with some of the fishes and get them out of there? Like, it just seems like, where do they go from here? Is he gonna help with the rebuilding efforts? It just seems like whatever happens in the next movie, I know they set up for like, oh, you know, the mob's gonna be in this like crazy power grab, which you know is probably just pretty much gonna go to Penguin because it's already set up for that. But a lot of people are gonna die. And they're focusing on like looting and stuff like that. Like, oh, there's gonna be looters and stuff. Like, dude, the city's underwater. Like, nobody cares. Like, let's just get the city back and like rescue everyone we need to. Like, I think the last thing people were worried about in Katrina was like people stealing TVs they can't even plug into their house because it's flooded. You know, you know what I mean? It's just like, all right, let's like, what is this setting up to? And like, I was waiting for a post-credit scene, and there is this like the website that like the Riddler was using to communicate with Batman in the movie. But it's not like an actual scene. It just like the credits turn into the website and you're supposed to like figure it out yourself. Gives you a riddle that are just as easy as all the riddles that were in the movie. So I don't know, maybe my opinion's like wrong on this for giving it a 7 out of 10. I know a lot of people are giving it like 9s out of 10. It's got like an 85% on Rotten Tomato critic score and like a 90% audience score. If I had to do percentage, like, I mean, that it sounds right based on all the reviews that it's been getting. I haven't seen too many negative points, so I'm probably crazy and I'm probably wrong, so what are you even doing here listening to me? But, yeah, that's my review for The Batman. I liked it, I enjoyed it, I'd watch it again, I like it for what it is, I like this new universe that's setting up, I like this no-nonsense, like, grit that we have going on. DC seems to be getting their act together with a lot of these new movies coming out this year, especially like Black Adam and stuff like that. There's a lot of cool stuff on the horizon, Flashpoint. So let's just see where it takes us. It's kind of weird though, because it's disheveled all over the place now. It kind of feels like they're setting this up where this Batman is going to be the canonical Batman in the DC universe going forward. But they're still showing trailers for like Black Adam and like the original Justice League Flash and all that stuff. So it's like Aquaman. So is this just like a side thing, or are they like setting this up so that then when they bring back Robert Pattinson for the next one, they can fit him into the DCEU and just kind of ignore the fact that like Batfleck's not there? I don't know. Any and all thoughts of that are welcome in the comment section down below. Do you think they're going to run 2 different universes, which would be 3 because they also have their animated universe? I don't know, man. That's kind of crazy. Like the Marvel universe is very tight-knit with what it's doing and what's feeding into and what's leading up. And they all kind of work together seamlessly, even the TV shows. But DC just seems like all over the place with their movies. So as much as I like this, I want to know what's going on in the overarching story. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think is going on with DC and where everything is headed. Did you see the movie? Did you like it? If not, you know what to do. Any and all thoughts, all that stuff. And as I always say, guys, I love it. Thank you.
And thank you.